This is just for the screen. Yeah, I'm not going to use it. I'm just putting the image up on the screen. Yeah, I'm fine with the news people. I'm just a local ID.
May God bless by protecting and guarding the state of Israel, which hopefully will be the beginning of our redemption. May He who blessed our ancestors also bless and protect and guard the members of Israel's defense forces, those who are missing in action or held captive, and others, civilians primarily, captured among our brothers and sisters, parents and children. The whole house of Israel who are in distress or in captivity as one, pray on their behalf. May the Holy One, blessed be He, show compassion on them and bring them out from darkness and the shadow of death. May God break their bonds, deliver them from their distress, and bring them swiftly back to their family's embrace. We pray for strength and courage and fortitude for the families and the loved ones and the friends of those who are in captivity. This must be an unbearable time for them. From Isaiah, those redeemed of the Lord will return. They will enter Zion with singing and everlasting joy, with crowns on their heads. Gladness and joy will overtake them, and sorrow and sadness and sighing swiftly fly away. And I end with those words from Psalm 29. Adonai oz amo-iten, Adonai barachat amo v'shalom. May the Lord give strength unto His people. May the Lord bless His people with peace.
I'm a little taller than Rabbi Stephen. Good evening. I bring the warm greetings of the people of St. Armands Lutheran Church, which I'm honored to serve as pastor. I also bring the warm fraternal greetings of all the members of the Sarasota Ministerial Association, which I have the honour to serve on the board and to serve as chair of the HEART team, which battles racism and anti-Semitism. HEART stands for Hatred Ends as All Rise Together. Tonight we demonstrate that we all rise together. When Mr. Udall and Shep said that this is the first of, unfortunately, many gatherings, I promise them and I promise you that your Christian sisters and brothers will be standing alongside you in an unbreakable solidarity. An unbreakable solidarity. That we promise you. I also promise you that we will not play the fool's game of moral equivalency. It is a game that is seldom moral and almost never equivalent. I had a wonderful speech prepared for you, I promise. I decided to leave it at home, deliberately, not accidentally, but deliberately, because as I polished my wee speech, which you can tell from my accent, I hope I'm Scottish, so as I polished my wee speech, I noticed a big problem with it. There was a lot of I and me in it. That's what human beings do in the face of tragedies and obscenities. We try to relate to it. We try to empathize with those caught up in it. And then it becomes I and me. As we saw on 9/11, so many people commemorate that atrocity by saying, oh, I remember where I was when I heard, and then later that night I went to a prayer meeting, and then I did this and I did that, and I. And tonight does not belong to I or me. It belongs to those who we carry in our hearts, who were murdered the other day. It belongs to them. It is theirs now and always. They were murdered in small towns and in kibbutzim, in firehouses and police stations, and God help us, music festivals, where young people were doing what young people have always done and always will do. Be young and happy and carefree with the rest of their lives lying ahead of them. I believe with all my heart and soul that, as the prophet Isaiah said, God will give them a name and a memorial, better than sons and daughters. Please, may their proud land always give them an everlasting name that will not perish, will not perish. But we also carry in our hearts those members of the Israeli Defense Force, some of whom are flying home to Israel right now, some of whom, according to some news reports, are being driven south on Israeli highways by their parents in cars that used to drive them to dates and soccer games and is now driving them to war. I know also of them, those young men and women who, the older I get, seem to look younger and younger all the time. I know also in the depth of my heart and my soul that those proud young men and women know absolutely, know fundamentally, know most powerfully in the depths of their hearts and soul the rock from which they were hewn and the quarry from which they were dug. They know it. and they will serve you and serve the world, as they always have done, with amazing spirit, amazing bravery, and amazing sacrifice. So that's what I wanted to concentrate on tonight. Not where I was when I heard, or how I felt, or what I thought, but those two things: to assure you, the Jewish community of Sarasota-Manatee, that we are with you, now, tomorrow. God help us always. And to honor memories and honor brave men and women. May God bless them. I share these words from Psalm 18. David sang to God the words of this song when the Lord delivered him from the hands of his enemies. He said, I love you, Lord, my strength, my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, in whom I take refuge. The sorrows of death surround me, and the floods of ungodly men make me afraid. The snares of death took me by surprise. In my distress, I called upon the Lord, and I cried to my God. From his temple he heard my voice, and my cry to him reached his ears. He sent from above. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. He saved me from my enemy and from those who hated me. They surprised me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord is my support. O God, who turns darkness into light, keep my candle burning.
Thank you. I want to start off by saying thank you for all of you for coming. This is absolutely an incredible crowd, and it is so incredibly important that all of you are here today. My name is David Heller. I'm not from this community. I'm the National Campaign Chair for JFNA. I happen to be in town for business, and I was going to spend part of my time talking to members of the community, talking about my recent trip to Ukraine. But all of that changed late Friday night, early Saturday morning. It's horrifying what we've all seen. We've all seen it on TV. We've all seen it on the social media. I don't know how people can commit these heinous acts. None of us know, and none of us will ever know. But we've seen it. It is on a scale that none of us have experienced in our lifetimes. To be able to see this, to be able to experience it, and as Bruce mentioned, our inability to process, our inability to, how important it is for all of us just to be together, to be here, to hear from each other, and to be amongst what is so important, and that's community. The stories that I'm going to share are incredibly personal. As I'm sure everyone in this room has experienced so many personal stories. My daughter spent a year in Israel. While she spent that year in Israel, her very best friend, a girl named Noah, was at the music festival with all of her friends. And she saw the infiltration. She called her parents, and she said, should I go into the shelter or should I go to a kibbutz? And her parents said, go into the shelter. And so she went into the shelter, and moments later, a Molotov cocktail is thrown into the shelter. She was buried there amongst bodies. There were 30 people. For 4 hours, she sat buried by people. She was able to get loose and to get free. She was taken to the hospital. She has burns all over her body, a broken arm, and can't walk. But she's living. Of the 30 people that were in that shelter, 20 of them perished. I share this with you so that you understand how personal this is, how close this is. On Saturday afternoon, I texted a very close friend of mine. His name is Muhammad. He's an Arab Israeli. He's a Muslim. His family has lived in Israel for 700 years. I texted him just to see how he was doing. He works for an organization on a shared society, because that's what we live in, a shared society in Israel. He said, I can't talk right now. I need to call you later. He calls me back about 20 minutes later. His cousin is an ambulance driver. His cousin was working the festival. He was taken into Gaza, and he's held as a Muslim hostage now in Gaza. The stories are horrific. The numbers of our soldiers that went down to the south because they didn't know what to expect. They went down there, they were from elite units. In the first day, 148 soldiers killed by walking into the unknown. They didn't know the enemy that they were facing. It's absolutely horrific. So what can we expect? And again, I'm sure all of you have tuned into different webinars and different, watching the news, but I've had the opportunity to speak with some very high-level folks in Israel, and I just want to share with you that priority number one is securing the country, which has not even happened at this point. There are still kibbutzim that are being held right now, and they are negotiating to try to free the members of the kibbutz. So that's job one. That was supposed to be done in 24 hours. We're over 48 hours into it. It's still not complete. Hopefully that will happen in the next 24 hours. But then we know that there's going to be a war. That war is going to be ugly. It's going to be unfortunate, but it's going to work to root out evil. It's important. It needs to happen. As Bruce mentioned, the public opinion right now is on our side, but that will quickly change. We all know that. So I ask you to be resilient, to continue to speak to your Christian and your Muslim and your Jewish friends and tell them what's going on, and to build relationships and build bridges within the community. It is so incredibly important for all of us to work with our partners in the community. We hope that there's no second front, but this war is to root out evil, and we must continue to root out that evil. So if there's a takeaway, two things that I want you to take away today, and that is build relationships. I believe the mayor is going to be speaking after I speak, and it is so incredibly important. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and on Saturday afternoon, I called our mayor Justin Blyth, who has been to Israel. And I called Justin, and I said, I need you to be our ally. And he said, absolutely, David, anything you need. And I said, Justin, it's going to get really ugly. It's going to get you're going to see images in the other direction. He said, David, I will be with you. I know that, I'm prepared, I will be with you. And then I called the president of City Council, William Griffin, had the same conversation, and he said, I'm with you. That happens because those relationships were built in advance. Just as you have built relationships with your mayor, your city council, your influence leaders, I encourage you, keep reaching out to them, keep informing them, let them know what's going on, because public opinion will flip, and that's going to be unfortunate, but we must remain strong to root out this evil. And the other, and again, I don't want to be shameless here, as Bruce mentioned, this is not a fundraising event. If you want you to know, as campaign chair, there will be a fundraising effort. It will probably be announced on Thursday. It'll be north of $100 million. I want you to know that I closed 2 $5 million gifts this morning, so we're 10% of the way there. There are very generous people in the United States and with HaNeshama all throughout the world. We need to stick together. We need to support our brothers and sisters in Israel. I want to thank you in advance. I have permission from Chef to mention this, but I'm hopeful that this community can raise over $1 million towards that goal. Thank you very much.
that I conjured up on paper that can possibly exemplify or express how mad I am. An unwarranted, unjustified, and unmerited attack. When Israel, an unwarranted and unjustified and unmerited attack is on us all. It's an unwarranted and unjustified and unmerited attack on humanity. Our humanity. And we go through days, particularly the position that I'm in, and hearing the things that people quibble about. You think about this weekend, today, and the lives that are lost and affected. How can you put that into words? My heart goes out. In every fiber of my being goes out to the families and the loved ones. Not only just in Israel and abroad, but right here on our very shores. Make no mistake. Any animus, any vitriol, any discrimination or hatred, anti-Semitism, whatever you want to call it, expressed to any person or any group of people in this city, as sure as I stand here, will not be tolerated. Let us think back to when I was a kid and all the lessons that my mother, my father did their very best to impress upon me and my sister and instill upon us. And one thing that always resonates with me and is embedded in my brain, just like my name. And I can hear my mother say to me, Scotty, that's my middle name. I want you to always, always do unto others as you have them do unto you. We all share the same space. We share the same air. We share the same world. We have different beliefs. Some have different value systems. But does that mean that you can't get along? That we can't share our thoughts, our feelings with one another, that we can't love one another, makes you, that's what makes me. Each and every one of us is a fingerprint, unique in its own way, original. The thoughts that I think as I speak are original. But the feelings that I have are not. If there's any individual that's walking the face of this earth that does not feel anger, does not feel sadness, or does not feel for his fellow man, is without conscience. Just without words, but I'm not without emotion. I'm not without passion. And I'm not without compassion. Each and every day, I say to myself, Kyle, love someone, no matter who they are. No matter what they look like. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you for being here. I'm new to town. I'm an Israeli American. I'm the new rabbi at HaNeshama, and it's really moving. So I'm a little bit shaky here, just feeling the love. And I want to bring our voices together in songs. The back of the program, but it's very easy. Just follow line after line with me, except we'll skip line number 5. But no worries, you don't even have to have it. In a few lines, we pray for Israel. We mourn the dead. We pray for healing. We pray for the safe return of the hostages. And we pray for Israel to survive. Guardian of Israel, protect the remnant of Israel, that Israel not perish. Those who say, Shema Israel. Following response, Shomer, Shomer Israel. Israel. We pray and we hold the hope. We pray for all those things with Israelis, for Israelis, and we keep the hope. Hatikva. If you are able, please rise, hold your flag. So long as our soul still lives within us, and so long as we long for Zion, then the hope is not lost. The hope is of 2,000 years to be free people in our land.
Thank you. This was beyond our wildest dreams to have this entire auditorium packed with friends, neighbors who care about us, who care about Israel. As we said, tonight is not the event, it's the beginning of our solidarity together. Please stay in touch as we support each other through these difficult times, and thank you. I'm Israel Chai, the people of Israel live. Good night.